All right, hello everyone. My name is Von Gathings, and I'm recording a book review, and I'm very excited about it. Um, so I've been wanting to do a book review for quite some time now, and the reason why is because if people know me, they know I read a lot. I like books, but I get kind of bored with reading and not talking about what I read. Um, I feel like I have a lot of opinions, ideas, and I want to share them. Nothing more, nothing less. Um, Reading to me is the gateway to freedom. Whatever freedom is important to you, physical freedom, mental freedom, um, financial freedom. It's the gateway to all of those. For example, financial freedom. You read a book on finance. You read a book on real estate. Mental freedom. You're reading a book on your culture, your heritage. You're reading the book on on mental health, psychology. Um, so freedom and literacy, reading go hand in hand, and I think that's something I want to push a little more. And this is one way I want to do it. So that's my purpose of doing a book review, and that's why I like reading. Um, and whatever you want to do with whatever you read, and not necessarily a book, an article, content that comes from a reliable source, it's what you want to do with it. You don't have to go out and teach everyone about what you read. If you want to keep that to yourself, that's great. I just don't want to do it. If you want to start talk to your friends about it, that's great. But reading to me is the gateway to freedom. So let's talk about what I'm going to be reading, um, or what I'm reading now, and what I'm going to be talking to you about. So bear with me because I'm going to be using a slideshow, and I'm going to be switching back and forth from the slides to me talking to the book. So here's the book title. It's called Franchise: The Golden Arches of Black America. And it's the cover. Um, and as you know, Golden Arches is the logo of the McDonald's, the Golden Arch logo. But here's the arches, the Golden Arches of Black America. It's an old school picture. The author, Dr. Marcia Chatelaine, she's a professor at Georgetown, and she's a graduate of Mizzou, Missouri University, PhD in African American Studies. But why did I pick this book? So I was laying on the couch reading the New York Times, and the New York Times was talking about this book. And when I saw Golden Arches in Black America, I want to know what's the correlation? What's the big deal about it? So when I thought about reading this book, the questions I have, and this is the questions that are below, and please don't get upset, offended at the questions I want to answer. I think they're just general questions. And the first question was, is fast food black? Because this book kind of talks about a relationship between fast food and blackness, black America, black culture. So it's fast food black, and we saw that assumption, that comparison being made in the summer when Popeyes came out with the chicken sandwiches, and they kind of racialized the chicken sandwich So is fast food supposed to be a black thing? Like there's something I just want to answer and unpack reading this book while reading this book, I should say. And was fast food, or is fast food better yet, supposed to be an engine of economic empowerment? So is it supposed to be a wealth generator, or were we designed to be consumers? And what impact does fast food and food deserts have on black health? So, the intro of the book starts surprisingly in Ferguson, Missouri, around the time the Ferguson riots happened. So, if you weren't living under a rock, you heard the story about Michael Brown, who was shot and killed by a police officer named Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri. And these riots happened. They expanded for, I believe, almost a week. And Ferguson was all over the news. So she talked about a McDonald's on in St. Louis, right outside of where Ferguson, Missouri was, where Michael Brown was killed, I should say. It's the McDonald's. And an interesting thing about this McDonald's was a lot of things was happening here. It was a center for a lot of things taking place. And some of those things were journalists. They were there interviewing people. They were there charging their phones. People was coming here for water. What else that she talked about? Activists were organizing the parking lot, protesters in the parking lot, people coming from out of town, coming to this McDonald's because it's close by. And this is how she introduces the history of fast food in Black America. And I saw it to be really, really interesting. So here's some images I Googled. It's a protester right there, McDonald's. And right here is the SWAT team. And Canfield Road is, I believe Canfield Road is the block Michael Brown lived on. But I know it's a block in St. Louis, a street name, I should say. So then she talks about fast food in general and poor dieting. So if you see all the fast food logos, McDonald's, Burger King, Subway, Wendy's, Popeyes, White Castle, etc., etc. And she basically says America is the home of the most popular fast food chains. All those names, and they have a global reach to it. So you see these chains outside of America. They were a huge wealth generator and a huge part of America's fabric. So, for example, when you watch the Super Bowl this week, you're going to see a lot of ads from some of these organizations. And it's a huge wealth generator. It's prevalent in America. So you see fast food in malls, and all type of neighborhoods, airports, train stations. It's everywhere. But it's a big difference in this book. This is one thing the book talks about. Is fast food might be the only option in some neighborhoods. And so, for example, A more affluent neighborhood might have fast food and it might have a grocery store with fresh produce. A less affluent neighborhood might have um, a fast food restaurant, and that's it. Or it might be a Family Dollar nearby, and a Family Dollar nearby, and it's processed food there, and all this leads to poor dieting, poor health practices that can lead to all type of disorders, probably cancer, um, obesity, all these things that hurt people. Um, so let's go to the book. Oh, I need to have the book up. Let me put it up. Franchise. All right, so researchers have warned that, and just read along right here. Researchers have warned that a black child born in the year 2000 has a 53% chance of developing type 2 diabetes versus a white kid developing the potentially fatal disease is less than 30%. So that's a 20% different. And that's when we talk about like inequities and disparities. Um, and then 75% of African American adults, 33% of black adolescents were considered overweight or obese. And again, this is because it's a system in place where resources are allocated in the north side because, I'm saying north side like, I'm sorry, because I'm thinking of Chicago when I say north side. Uh, um, in white neighborhoods, affluent neighborhoods, um, suburban neighborhoods, all these different things in inner cities. Resources are allocated there because there might be people who are working jobs there, upper middle class people who's able to pay higher taxes for better schoolings, for to bring grocery stores there. There's less crime there, and then less poverty going on there. And then you have less affluent neighborhoods, such as I'm from Chicago, the south side of Chicago, in certain areas, in most areas, almost all areas, I should say. Um, you have these neighborhoods that their only option might be fast food, the dollar store, the gas station, and uh, um, a grocery store might be it might be a grocery store of less quality where the produce is not as good, probably not pure fresh produce, or the grocery store with the good produce, good vegetables, good fruits, healthier options is farther away. So that's what we talk about with disparities. But this talks about it right here. This talks about it. Let me go back. So as you can see right here, um, America made some stride. This is when we talked about healthy food, the importance of it, the health risk of fast food. And you have a lot of documentaries that came out the last 2 decades. You had Super Size Me, that was around 2004, 2005. That's infamous for the McDonald's experiment, and to see how long does it take for a McDonald's burger to rot. And then you have a lot of other options. So you have a lot of these other documentaries were on Netflix. Food Incorporated, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, Hungry for Change, Farmageddon. I watched a lot of these. Um, and yeah, they were pretty good, but a lot of people have done better with their eating habits. And one thing I want to say is please don't think I'm trying to be the fast food police because I keep it real. In my refrigerator, I do have broccoli. I do have corn. I have carrots. That's kind of my go-to meal because it's a very um, cheap meal, but it's fresh vegetables. I'm going to Pete's Produce to get them. But the other day, I was a little hungry and I got a hamburger. It's only the first one I've eaten in 3 weeks, but I'm not being a fast food police because everyone has a cheat meal. But what I'm saying is, what I'm talking about is the relationship between Black America and fast food. That's it. Not trying to be the police. Tell you what to eat, what not to eat. I'm just putting facts out there, and I'm not judging anybody any. But anyway, you got Super Size Me and all these documentaries. And I think America has made a really good stride in talking about these things. Um, so yeah, because I have made strides. There was a period of time where all I was eating was McDonald's. And I was in college. I used to just study and eat McDonald's, and I felt really sluggish. And eventually, I became I started eating less meat in 2016. So most of 2016, I was a vegetarian, but now I'm conscious of the meat I eat. So I stopped eating red meat, beef. You know, if you invite me over for like a meal, I'll eat it. I'm not like allergic to it, but I'm eating lean meats. You know, I'm eating vegetables. I'm not eating carbs because carbs slow me down. Um, so I made strides, but I wasn't perfect at a time. So right here, let's pull the slideshow back up. So around, I think it's 2009, Michelle Obama, and the book talks about this. She rolled out the Let's Move campaign, and she wanted kids. She wanted to fight obesity, fight all these health risks. So she wanted schools, after schools, parks to have healthier options for kids, putting the emphasis on exercising, all these things to make sure that our kids in America are healthy. And there's some strides made, man. You know, I was working at the school and I saw much healthier food available. Now, it wasn't that much greater, but much better than when I was in school. Um, so that is very important. And Michelle Obama was spearheading this as her time as the first lady. And recently, I think this is recent of a few weeks ago, the president that we have now, he proposed rollbacks for the school lunch guidelines, and I think some cuts in the budgets as well. So one of the things were they felt like they wanted to cut some of the vegetable options and things like that. So you know, two steps forward, one step backwards in this. So, too much fast food. So, basically, the first part of the introduction says fast food is highly accessible in less affluent, low income neighborhoods, heavily populated by blacks. Um, and healthy options are more expensive. Whole Foods, great, awesome, but it's expensive. Mariano's is a little bit more expensive. That extra $3 tax up, adds up, I should say. But it's your decision, if you want to make that choice. I'm not here to force it upon you, but is it worth it in the end? That's the question you want to ask. I think it is, but that's going to be your opinion. And then you have unsafe locations for exercise and play. Um, what do I mean by that? So I got a picture down here I took in 2014, and these kids were playing basketball on 71st and King Drive. It was like a back to school drive, and basically what I'm getting at with this picture and what the author was saying was like a lot of the places that kids and people want to exercise at, they're not safe. They're not they're just not safe. So these kids, they're out here playing basketball, running a 5-on-5. Rest in peace, Kobe Bryant. Um, but they're running a 5-on-5 playing basketball. But in Chicago, where I'm from, somebody could, some maniac will can shoot this up, and hurt one of these kids and murder one of them. So these places aren't safe. And then the young girls, they might want to go on the playground and play, and it's some guy trying to snatch them, um, do something with their organs, um, put them up for human trafficking. I don't know, but basically the author was saying that a lot of locations for exercise and play aren't safe, and that just comes from a lack of collective wealth in neighborhoods that's populated by blacks and a lack of resources. We don't have the same resources that other neighborhoods do. Businesses that are thriving, um, um, taxpayers, people can't pay taxes because they don't have high-paying jobs. So people don't want to invest and allocate funds in our neighborhoods. Then you get lower quality grocery stores, a bunch of liquor stores, all these unhealthy things. And then right here's an example. These two pictures are examples of food deserts. Um, 71st and Jeffrey, if you're familiar in Chicago, it took them over 10 years to get a supermarket. A Dominick's, which is like a thing of Chicago's past, left Chicago. All of them were closed down in 2009. And we just got a grocery store here in 2019. So we got local market. And it just sounds so generic. And this is what we get stuck with, saddled with, like local market. Why can't we get a Mariano's or something? They get the great value grocery store, the cheap options. But that's because, again, a lack of investment in communities that have black people in it, local market. Okay, so early franchise and fast food companies. Take a sip of water. Okay. Okay, so the franchise model. So it started around the 1800s, and the prime example they used was Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola was outsourcing their business practices, and what they had other like drug stores, grocery stores doing was mixing, um, packaging, creating Coca-Cola bottles and selling it, and they were making money because they didn't have to pay anybody because they had all these other establishments doing it. And other models saw it, other businesses saw the model, and this is one way franchising was making. You had third party players, um, um, people investing in the brands, doing just pretty much making money, and this is how the franchising model was made. Um, and then a lot of cities saw that, you know, this franchise model was building business. They were making money, making the cities money, and they start offering tax breaks. And this is how McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, all these places were born because, you know, you had one person. They were they started establishments. They probably outsourced it, had someone making the money for them, and it started growing. And then you have cities who want them, offer tax breaks. Boom, you got the fast food industry. And then it talks about some of the business owners. So it talks about the guys who started McDonald's, the brothers, Dave, Wendy's. These guys were hard workers, and they took risks and they created something. However, one thing you need to know, because a lot of these people had privileges. I mean, they had families with money, connections. They were able to start over, fail, succeed, fail again, make mistakes, expand. And that's the benefits of having wealth in this country. And we know the racial disparities of wealth. Um, Not too many black people have wealth because the black people at this time, this is post-slavery, Reconstruction. They had like Black Wall Street, and we know the story about Black Wall Street. They built these businesses, they're bombed, and they don't have their own businesses that can thrive independently. So here you have McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King starting, failing, starting over again, failing, making mistakes, franchising, expanding, going global. And then you have the black business who starts, they fail, they don't get another chance. So again, when you see um, people ask, well, how come McDonald's been in the game for so long, but this place hasn't? It's all because of money, advantages, privileges. And it just is what it is. So then what happened was a lot of orgs, they start to get, um, I'm sorry, let me backtrack. A lot of black people started to get frustrated because these organizations were not allowing them to eat there. Heavy into Jim Crow, heavy into the black codes, and they wanted to fight back. So these are the orgs, the early incarnations of orgs like the NAACP, what else? The Urban League, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. That's Dr. King's. Yep, that's Dr. King's organization that he was spearheading. Center for Racial Equality. All these places were fighting these orgs, asking them, let our people eat here. If not, we're gonna boycott. And eventually it happened. They allowed people to eat there. But then black people started to realize like, hey, these people are making money. Why can't we make money? And you know, this is around a time where blacks start to want more economic mobility. And you know, this was years, of course, from Jim Crow to getting separate but equal. And we can argue, if we are treated equal in establishments, but um, around this time, around the civil rights era and a little bit afterwards, the post King era, blacks wanted a little bit more. They wanted a little bit more than just, equality. They wanted some economic mobility. So then, um, President Lyndon Johnson, he created this domestic Marshall Plan. And one of the people who helped him with that plan was Whitney Young. And this was like a plan that had like Job Corps, Medicaid, all these things are supposed to help black with financially, economically, job training, paying for students to go back to school who dropped out of school. And it was really good, but black people wanted business. They wanted hand over fist dollars. And then they wanted to control their own destiny. So enter Richard Nixon, President Richard Nixon. And he when he was elected in, he coined this term called Black Capitalism. And this idea was supposed to um, let blacks control their own destiny, start their own businesses, um, make their own money, like general capitalism was. And for a while, a lot of people were behind it. They were like, yes, this is it. And Nixon, he created loans, grants, all government policies that was supposed to help black people gain economic independence. But it had limitations, and it still does. And this book talks about it. But this black capitalism was supposed to be the thing that saves black people economically. So these are some of the players that endorsed Nixon's plan for black economic empowerment, black capitalism. Jim Brown, the football player, Cleveland, I think Cleveland Browns or Steelers. I don't even remember. I don't know football like that. I'm a basketball guy. But Jim Brown, there he is. With he endorsed Nixon's plan of black capitalism, and there's Mr. Dynamite himself, James Brown. He endorsed Nixon. I believe he endorsed him overall as a president too. So these were some of the people who were behind the black capitalism movement, also known as the civil rights era, a play on civil rights, because a lot of the people after the post King era, once King died, Dr. King, a lot of the activists were saying that we're tired of "We Shall Overcome," being playing nice. We want to make our own money. We're gonna fight back. That's how Black Panthers came to prominence and things like that. And you're gonna hear a little bit more about that as the chapter goes on. So then you had James Brown. So deep into the Black Capitalism movement. Here are some important facts. So right here is William, I'm sorry, Herman Petty. He's the first Black McDonald's owner. And that location is in Chicago, my hometown, 6560 South Stony Island. Um, it's still there. If you walk past it, you see a logo, a sign that says First Black McDonald's owned by Herman Petty. It's kind of sad because they don't really treat it like it's just like another McDonald's in the hood. So I think more can be done for that to recognize that. I don't know, but he owned several McDonald's, and he launched the National Black McDonald's Owner Associations in 1972, and the purpose of this org was for people who were McDonald's owners, people who want to own McDonald's, and understanding how to own them and sustain them, and fight the powers that be that won't allow them to have it and thrive in peace. So then you had an organization, Operation Black Unity. These were the people who, the post King activists, who were a little bit more militant, affiliated with like the Black Panthers and things like that. They they wanted more control of their communities. They wasn't a big fan of what King done. This is where Black Power came into existence um, around the 70s, because King died in 68. So 1968. But they had a beef with McDonald's in Cleveland. So um, it was resistance to bring McDonald's to black communities, meaning that they didn't want McDonald's there because, one, they felt as though McDonald's wasn't a real black business. It still had health concerns. And it just didn't feel like a part of the community. It was just like, okay, it's this establishment there. A black person might own it because these were McDonald's owned by black people, but it's not a real black business. It's the dollars are leaving the community. They're going in white hands, and it's not doing anything. And then also, they weren't a part of the community. They were um, they were just people, just organizations trying to make money. They had no connection to the community. Um, it wasn't participating. They wasn't doing any philanthropy. It just was there. So the Black Panthers demanded that these McDonald's that are coming in inner city black communities, they're bigger part of the community than just being there making money. They're going, they're participating in food drives and things like that. So that was the battle between Operation Black Unity and McDonald's. So then, this is the fun part right here. A lot of celebrities, they started launching their own businesses in an effort to operate independently. Right here, you had Muhammad Ali, and I didn't know this. He had Champ Burger. Somebody need to tell me how the Champ Burger, how did it taste? Or then you had the great singer Mahalia Jackson. She had Mahalia Jackson's glorified chicken. It, right here you see the menu: chicken dinners, chicken shacks, a whole bird, triple whole bird, catfish. So Mahalia Jackson had her thing going on. Then you had the boy James Brown. James Brown back again. I love James Brown. The Godfather of Soul had James Brown's gold platter. And he had that gold platter fish licking chicken soul foods. So celebrities had their thing going on. They wanted to put real black businesses, as they said, as the book says, in the forefront of black communities, to make sure that money is going to black hands and not leaving the community. But the big thing was like fast food restaurants at this time still had a grasp on black consumers. The black consumers still wanted the Mickey D's, man, the Burger Kings. And then McDonald's began to use advertising and elements of black culture to reach out to the people. And these are some of the posters and marketing. And there you go right here. This is like super 70s right here. This little text right here, you know that's from the 70s, man. The straight good times. Um, have it your way, make it a whopper. And then you got my man with the sideburns right here. You know he from the 70s. And he got that little jacket, shirt with the collar connection. Um, he's from the 70s. He looked like he used to be like part of Temptations, like Bobby Proud or something from the Proud family. I'm just checking these people. But anyway, so get down with a cheeseburger at McDonald's. So this is what McDonald's were doing. And then here's a 80s double Dutch commercial that I found on YouTube. So as you see, man, McDonald's they knew what to do. Genius marketing. They had the girls double dutching. The guy on the corner talking about apple pies. He had the burger in his hand, smiling, and and that's what they do. They know how to get us, and they know how to market to us, and it's amazing. It's like Adidas. I am a shareholder of Adidas. I have been. I've always loved Adidas since I was in grammar school. Around the time Tracy McGrady was um, backed by Adidas, basketball player. But now Adidas has they have a big market share of the sneaker industry. So recently, who has been on the forefront of Adidas marketing? Beyonce. Kanye West, he charging 600 for a pair of Yeezy Boost, and his Yeezy Boost has transformed the model of Adidas. And then they had a commercial not too long ago. They had Big Sean, the rapper, Two Chains, um, Pusha T. Then you have Pharrell. Of course, the basketball players, Harden, Dame Lillard. They know how to get us, man. They know what to do. And Pepsi was doing the same thing. Pepsi had marketing. Michael Jackson. A lot of the soul singers were unconnected with Pepsi. So it's interesting how marketing and advertisement has an effect on us, and they know what to do to get us. And in the 80s, you just saw the double dutch, the girls turning up. And my last slide is about a lawsuit. His name is Charles Griffiths. And this is the stuff that's still going on nowadays. So Charles Griffiths sued McDonald's for racial discrimination, and he stated that he was only able to own McDonald's in black neighborhoods, and he had higher overhead costs due to safety for obvious reasons in a black neighborhood. Um, and then McDonald's also stated that he was financially incapable of operating an establishment, and McDonald's settled with Griffiths for $4 million with the help from the NAACP, and it created this program called the Fair Share Program. And the Fair Share Program was like this way to make sure that all franchisees were able to franchise outside of black communities or whatever community. There was no restrictions. But this is the limitations of what Richard Nixon claimed was black capitalism. And basically, he could say that, we gave blacks a chance, we gave them loans, we gave them grants. But when things like this happen, how can you thrive? How can you build individual and collective wealth? You can't, because these things happen. So Byron Allen, the billionaire, he was on a Breakfast Club, so everyone should know who he is now. Though he's been talking about this lawsuit with Comcast for years. I think I heard of Byron Allen like in 2017 or 2016, but now he's getting the attention. But this is what we're talking about. He's in a lawsuit with Comcast. I think it's the Civil Rights Act of 1864, if I'm not mistaken. Basically, that act gives black people the authority and the advantage to do business anywhere they want, and they can't be denied. But Byron Allen, who owns the Weather Channel, which is very impressive, he um, he could not purchase any channels. I think some networks stopped him from purchasing channels. And then not too long ago, you had, and this is an article, and I'll pull it up if you wanna contest me about it. You had Magic Johnson, LL Cool J, and Ice Cube. And what they were doing, they had came together to buy some sports networks from Fox. I think Fox was trying to sell out. Fox did the merger with Disney. They downsized, but Ice Cube, Magic, LL were trying to buy these networks, and they were denied. They had investors, and between the three of them, that's money. They got money. Ice Cube, he felt played because he had the Big Three basketball network at Fox, and it was doing okay. And it's not on Fox anymore, but it was doing okay. And Magic Johnson, he's synonymous with being a business owner. He has like the theaters and things like that. I think he got a couple Starbucks in LA. But if these three guys couldn't get a couldn't they had investors and they couldn't get what they wanted. Imagine just regular average Joe or Mary off the block. So this book is important because it's showing all type of things: health, economics, and the limitations of both. Fast food is okay, but it has limitations to it, to our health. It can hurt us in the long run, and it's sad because some neighborhoods that's all they have, and um and this whole thing of black capitalism, the do-it-yourself model, is limiting, and we need entrepreneurs because, in my mind, that's how jobs are created. Guess it's a way to wealth. Guess it's a way to collective wealth if it's done right. But people need jobs. People need to be involved in something. And black people, a lot of us who have degrees and trades, were always last and low on the totem pole. And it's because there are no jobs like there used to be. The we're still suffering from the 2008 crisis. where a bunch of factories went away, and now technology is creating everything, and they're doing everything. So this book talks about that, and I'm interested to see going forward who are the players that try to use black capitalism to their advantage and what came of that. So, for example, in Chicago, we know Harold's Chicken has been around for a while. And I hope they mention it in the book, but I just now basically look at it different. Like, how did they survive this fight? Because you see, Mr. Griffiths of this article right here, and this part, he was a part of the book. He had four McDonald's, and he was told, "This is what I couldn't do. I can't. I'm not incapable of operating an establishment." And maybe it was true, maybe it wasn't. I don't know, but he couldn't purchase anything outside his neighborhood, and that's the limitations of capitalism. If you of black capitalism, if you don't have policy behind it, if you don't have resources behind it, if you're not informed, these things happen, and you're just thinking that you're failing. So this book is very, very important. And it was another article not too long ago when they were talking about how people with good credit, 750 credit scores, are not getting business loans. And you know it's just crazy. So this is not victimhood. This is not uh, complaining. This is just facts. And whatever you want to do with these facts is what you can do with them. I'm just putting it out there. So, to conclude, things you can do to get informed, involved, and contribute. If you want to support food justice, you can do it. Uh, Donate funds to a food bank. Volunteer at a food bank. Start a food drive. Getting some canned goods, that's nothing. I donated funds to the Midwest Food Bank, and now that I've reading this book, I look at it differently and pay attention to areas that don't have grocery stores and stay involved civically. Go to your town hall meetings. Ask your alderman, whoever's running your ward, like, what's going on with the grocery store? What's wrong? What's happening? And if you want to support your black businesses and owners, first thing I'm going to say is, after reading this, it's your dollars, it's your choice. So, if you want to support them, do that. If you want to support a franchisee, do that. But I think what we should do is find out who owns the franchises that enters the communities. So if you see a new McDonald's there, who owns that? You don't know who owns that. It might be a guy like um, Herman Petty. I know in Chicago, Dr. Willie Wilson, he owns a lot of McDonald's. Maybe he was inspired by this model. So you don't know who owns what and what they're trying to do. And they might have a good intent involved, but you just don't know. Or they might have poor intent, and you can do whatever you want with that. So basically, this is the first episode. Um, I'm gonna try to get chapter 2 done this week. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Send in questions, comments, and critiques. Watch, like, dislike. Look, I'm not afraid of feedback at this point in my life. I've been told everything. So your feedback's going to do nothing but help me. But I'm glad I did this. I hope you, if you watch this, you took something from it. You know, let me know how you feel, and I'll see you all again. So take care.